Last year, my favorite new MCU film is easily Guardians Volume 3. I thought it was a great way to end the Guardians trilogy. I think James Gunn pulled it off. He found a way to close the trilogy in a satisfying manner without even having to kill anyone off. He ended the trilogy in a way that feels right but went against what a lot of people were expecting going in. I think the way that Guardians Volume 3 manages to be such a holistic experience where you feel so many different emotions because you have the moments of triumph that make you feel satisfied, especially when you get to the end of the movie. But then Rocket's backstory is so heartbreaking. It's so gut wrenching. And also, man, the High Evolutionary, I think, is one of the most vile and despicable villains ever to be put into a movie. The way that he just completely dehumanizes all these animals, the way he treats them like they're just property that to be tossed and disposed of once they're no longer of use. The way that he's constantly mean and cruel towards cute animals makes us hate him deeply. I think Ryan George nailed this in the pitch meeting for Guardians Volume 3, where he points out just how much you hate and despise the High Evolutionary, how much you wish you could put your hand through the movie screen and punch him, how much you wish that you could just slice his throat right there and then because he's so despicable. The way that he pretends to care about Rocket, but in actuality he doesn't at all, is horrible. And also, wow, to me, this movie made it very clear that James Gunn knew what he was doing with the trilogy. He had a plan, especially when it comes to Rocket. He knew where he was going with this character. This movie makes moments with Rocket so much more powerful for the first two movies. Like in the first film, you have that scene where you realize how broken Rocket is when everyone's at the bar and Rocket is saying that I didn't ask to get made. I didn't ask to be torn apart and put back together over and over, turn into some little monster. On its own, that scene is incredibly powerful because you realize, oh, Rocket feels lonely on the inside. He feels self-loathing. He feels so sad. He's hiding so much pain and trauma. But after you see Guardians Volume 3, that scene hits so much harder. Also, go back to the first movie when all the Guardians are captured by the Nova Corps. They're describing each of them. When they describe Rocket on the screen there, it says the known associates Lila, Planet of Origin, Half World, and then you get a little glimpse of the implants on Rocket's back. That makes it clear James Gunn knew where he was going with this trilogy. He knew where he was going with Rocket's character. And also, the way that Guardians Volume 3 wraps up all these different characters' journeys very well done. The fact that the Guardians trilogy started with Peter Quill leaving Earth and it ends with Peter Quill going back to Earth. It starts with Peter running away from his grandfather, ends with him returning to his grandfather. And then Drax goes from Drax the Destroyer, who's just angry and out for vengeance, to being a father once again. The fact that Nebula saw something that we as the audience hadn't really seen up to that point, and she points it out. Drax, you're not supposed to be this destroyer filled with rage out for vengeance. You're supposed to be a father. And then by the end of the trilogy, Nebula's like, I'm going to create the family that I wish I could have had. And then the fact that this other version of Gamora, by the end of Volume 3, she's not a Guardian again, but she sees exactly what the other Gamora saw. But we realize, oh, the Ravagers are truly her family. It's all so powerful. This movie looks good. It has well done action scenes, manages to both have funny moments, but also be heartbreaking. The story here is well told. I thought this was just a great movie.